Hello, you're listening to ReedyGeeks, a Walt Disney World podcast. My name is Andrew, and I'm joined today by beach beer enthusiast Sean.
Beach beer's a good beer. Beach beer at Disney, I don't know how good of a beach beer at Disney it is.
At the Polynesian.
Beach
oh,
and
yeah,
fireworks.
that's true.
It's one of your favorite beers, I thought.
Okay, that's true. Yeah. Well, he didn't. He
with
failed
a side
to
of fireworks.
He failed to specify the entire subject of the beer.
Oh, okay.
Well, this is a Disney World podcast, so one would assume it was in Disney World, yeah. And future Moonglades regular, JJ.
Well, I can't wait until we're all bar hopping across all those indoor-outdoor bars.
And joining us today, Reedy Gal Emily.
Hey, everybody.
It's a better nickname than we've ever gotten.
Probably.
If you have a good title for my co-host here, please send in your ideas to ReedyGeeks@gmail.com. On today's episode, Emily and I share our takeaways from our trip to the Asian Disney parks. So, Emily and I are back from our trip to Asia. Last time we talked to you about this, we did part one of this series of Emily and I going to Asia, where we talked about how we got there, right? How we planned it and the process in which we took in order to get there. Today, what we're going to be doing is talking about our takeaways from the first two Disney parks that we went to, and that was Hong Kong Disneyland and Shanghai Disneyland.
How many minutes do we need for credit card points?
You know what? We're going to spare you this time. If you are interested in credit card points, please go back and listen to part one of this series. I think it's only 30 minutes that we're talking about points.
And then feel free to send us an email so we can follow up.
And talk more about points.
Yes, more correspondence.
ReedyGeeks, a credit card points podcast.
That's our podcast on the side. You know,
okay.
Could be multiple podcasts group here. Could be the Reedy Geek Network.
Or like the Reedy Points. Reedy Points.
Right.
You know, it's a workshopping name. We're workshopping it.
Okay.
Point Geeks. Yeah, so today we're going to talk about our takeaways from Hong Kong Disneyland. So typically what a normal podcast would be doing here would be doing a trip report. But we don't want to go through minute by minute telling you about every ride that we went on, every single thing that we ate, even though we did write it all down. That just is not really something that we're interested in. So we have kind of condensed and analyzed our trip into what we call takeaways. So we have some for every park that we went to, comparing to the States parks, what we thought of the parks, and then our trip in general at the end, just like overall our takeaways from the whole experience.
Cool. I can't wait to dig into this because we intentionally haven't been talking about this.
You've been waiting to ask all those questions so that it can be live for the pod.
Yeah, with bated breath. The problem with having a podcast is that you can't just have a conversation with your friend. You have to wait until you're on screen with the record button pushed before you can ask all these questions.
Yeah, you can't waste good content.
You got to keep the reactions fresh.
I don't want people thinking that we're acting. We're
it's all authentic.
Okay, so I guess in first talking about Hong Kong Disneyland, I think giving, especially with this park, giving like a little history of this park, because it's going to explain what some of our takeaways here. But this was kind of built as a half day, half budget park originally. So Hong Kong Disneyland has been trying to fight back since that opening day to become a destination onto its own and to be profitable. And it ironically just became profitable, even though it was built over 20 years ago.
Yeah, actually, and a good example of this is even reflected in their castle, because the castle that they opened with on opening day is completely different than the castle they have today. The castle they opened with was a very, very small castle, sort of similar to Disneyland's castle, right?
It was the exact replica of Disneyland.
Sleeping Beauty style, right? They redid it and built it up, made it into a bigger, grander castle. It's still quite small comparative to what we're used to with Walt Disney World. Yeah, but it's unique in its own way because it features several different princesses, and architecture inspired by those princesses kind of all put together, which is different. Very unique.
Yeah, looking at the castle, you can see like, oh, that's like the Frozen section of the castle, and that's like the Sleeping Beauty section of the castle. It's pretty cool, and it really melds together very well.
But they like knocked down the original one and just rebuilt it into this new, completely new thing.
It looks like they knocked the top off.
And like built it up.
And built on top of it, yeah.
It's kind of reflective of how it started out small, the park, and they're trying to like build it up and make it into more of its own thing.
Oh, yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
Sean snorts at that. Okay, so let's go into our takeaways here. I really did like the castle. That actually wasn't on our takeaway here. But, it actually was. Yeah, right there.
It's right there.
He's prepared.
So going into our first takeaway, this is an extremely small park. It is super small, and I knew that going in, but I didn't realize how small that was. Like standing in the middle of the hub, you can see the end of Tomorrowland.
Wow.
Right? So not only like there's no transitions between the lands. And especially the original lands. They've built on afterwards, like they have an Arendelle. It's like a World of Frozen area. Yeah. That has a nice transition. Even Mystic Manor and Grizzly Peak area has a slight transition. But like the original lands that they built and developed, it's like you're at the hub and there's just like this sign, "Welcome to Tomorrowland." And that's it. And you're in Tomorrowland.
Size-wise, is it Hollywood Studios where it's like a tight layout too? Like, there's not much to Hollywood Studios, even though it is kind of full of dead ends.
I
think it's smaller.
Yeah. Wow. Do you think it's smaller?
It still has that like spoke and wheel kind of feeling, right?
Right. And that comes afterwards, as they've been trying to build it on, because everything that connects it on the left-hand side is relatively new. Toy Story Land, Mystic Manor, Grizzly. Okay, so we had one day for Hong Kong Disneyland, and we were a little worried about that. So we did early entry and DPA, which we explained in the last episode is
Premier Access.
Disney Premier Access. And that comes with a set of rides to go on. So in this sense, I think it was 8 rides, right? 8 rides that you can get anytime you want to go on these rides. You can go on them. They don't do our multi-pass is that you buy multi-pass and you're trying to get a specific ride in tier 1. If you don't get it, oh shucks, I have to go for another one. Right. Now these are they group together rides, and then that's the rides that you get no matter what, and you can go on them anytime you want.
So it's like buying season tickets, like buying like a 10-game package. You don't get to pick the games. You get a Philly game, you get a Boston game, but are you able to pick different packages, or is it like I'm buying this pass and they just say here's the 8 rides you're going on?
No, that's a great example, Sean, because they'll say this is the Adventurers DPA set, this is the Explorers DPA set,
Gotcha.
And it's a group of different rides that they package together, and of course there's going to be good rides in all of them, but then there's going to be fluff in them as well, right? So you have to do the math to see whether or not it makes sense for you. So if you were going for one day in Hong Kong Disneyland, I think that the early entry we thought was totally worth the money. You get in 1 hour early. There's only 2 lands open. It's the World of Frozen and Fantasyland, but you get those done early, and that's like half of everything there almost, or a quarter at least. DPA, I don't know, Emily, did you find it?
Well, we found that the parks were not that crowded. The park was not that crowded. Like when we showed up for early entry, we kept looking around like, where are all the other people? We couldn't believe how empty it was. And so then we thought like, oh, is this just because it's early entry? But early entry was great. We got in, we were able to do a lot. And then throughout the day, we didn't feel the lines build quite as fast as you do in like what we're used to with Magic Kingdom and Walt Disney World. So we were kind of like, oh no, like, was it a total waste buying DPA? Like, these lines are not bad at all, you know?
Right.
At 11 o'clock, we rode Mystic Manor. We like almost walked right on.
Wow.
Now, Mystic Manor doesn't open till 11 o'clock either. It's something that we learned, that some of the lands open later, some of the rides open later. So I think we happened to kind of be strategic. Whether we happened upon that or we planned it is up for debate. But we were able to get a lot done with early entry, and then we kind of timed showing up to Mystic Manor right as it opened. But we were able to do it really, you know, we walked on, and then we were able to save our DPA and do it again a second time. But
Wow.
even still, I don't know that the line got terribly long. So we said to ourselves, okay, we probably could have survived without the DPA. Now, it was great having it because, you know, we were able to ride it again a second time when the line was much longer. But we found that the park just never felt crowded in the sense that we're used to with, you know, Walt Disney World.
And that may have been because there was a typhoon.
There's also
in
that.
the area.
It rained a lot.
It was really raining. It was very raining.
It did rain a lot, but we were able to, you know, work around it.
Yeah, it wasn't too bad. So Arendelle was kind of a highlight of Hong Kong Disneyland, and that's the newest land.
Right.
Is the world of Frozen there. It looks really cool. It really feels like you are in Arendelle.
Yeah, and I think too, like, comparative to some of the other lands, like you said, it's a bit more secluded. It has like a transition, and so you feel like you're entering it, and you're entering into this different world, and it's a bit bigger. There's water in between the two parts. The two rides are separated by like a waterway, and there's another castle. There's the Frozen Castle. So I think comparatively to the other lands, like, it felt bigger and a little bit more impressive.
It looks impressive, you know, the shots that I've seen of it online.
I'd say, like, ride-wise, the only other, like, two rides that were, like, of note-taking was Mystic Manor and Grizzly Gulch.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that makes
So
sense. Those are their e-tickets. Well, I guess Frozen kind of is because Frozen's so popular, but I mean,
it's very similar to our Frozen.
It's the same exact thing as our
the only
Frozen.
difference is maybe the ending scene is potentially slightly different in the way they have it set up. But other than that, it's basically the same.
Yeah, they're Frozen Ever After.
and they have that little roller coaster too, right?
Very short.
We went on that twice because that didn't come with our DPA, so we made sure to go to that first. And then when we got off of it, we were in early entry, and there was still no line. So we're like, all right, let's do it again. And it's literally like you think Tron is short.
Yeah,
this is shorter.
It's quick.
Yeah.
It was cute, but it's quick.
Yeah.
Yeah, I heard it's like Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, but like cut in half.
Yeah.
Yes.
Honestly, like the theming of the queue was maybe cooler than the ride because you like walk through a house that's like themed to, the
Right,
land
it's
and
Oaken,
everything.
right? Yeah.
Oaken's Wandering Sleighs or something like that.
Yes, that sounds right. Yep.
Yeah. Mystic Manor was really cool, and like that's the ride that we were looking forward to the most.
Right, that makes sense, and so it lived up to the hype.
Yeah.
Yeah, it did. It did. I mean, it is like how old is it now? Like
It's probably over 10 years. It's probably somewhere between 10 and 15. Right?
Yeah.
It's probably early 2010s.
I thought it was like a really cute story. I liked the character, the monkey character. Like I was invested in the story, and we did ride it twice. So it was cool to be able to compare those experiences because we actually had at one point in the ride where our car went in a different direction. We saw a different show scene because we were in a different car.
Oh,
which is really cool because there's not a lot of rides where you're actually going to see a whole different set.
That's cool.
And show scene. So that keeps you coming back.
And something they did really well too is they positioned you so that you were looking in a certain direction and something else was happening behind you that another car was seeing. So you didn't get to see what happened there, but like that adds to your rideability, your re-rideability.
Yeah, so you can ride that thing 4 times and get some slight variation and really absorb a different story and see the whole story. After you've rode it, right, you can kind of piece together the totality of the story once you've ridden it a few times.
Right.
And in a sense, it reminds me of Haunted Mansion in that way, even though it's such a different experience. But every time you ride Haunted Mansion, there's something else you're looking at that you're like, oh, I didn't notice that in that corner over there, because the scenes are so developed and like extensive and detailed. While you're going through it slowly, you absorb more. Whereas like this is fast paced, fast moving, and it's not as like huge, developed, detailed scenes. But it was cool that you're being, directed to look in different areas, so you're noticing different things as you're riding it.
Yeah, that's cool.
For a trackless ride system too, in such an early trackless ride system, like
It was
I feel
smooth.
like, yeah, it was pretty smooth, and I think they did a really good job. Like, I don't know, this kind of, I know this probably came after Remy, and it did not rely on screens too, which was nice.
Yeah.
It's very similar timing to Remy. This opened May 2013 and 2014. It's a year later.
Jeez, this is so much better than Remy. it's crazy. That's crazy. Yeah.
Well, not to get too far ahead of ourselves, because I mean this is a whole nother episode, but Pooh's Honey Hunt is like 2001.
It was closed.
Yeah.
Hurry back.
Okay, let's go into Grizzly Gulch. So Grizzly Gulch is the themed land. It's kind of like our frontier land. I guess to them, the frontier doesn't really mean much, right?
Right.
So it's called Grizzly Gulch, and the ride is called Big Grizzly Mountain Runaway Mine Cars. Very easy to say.
Rolls right off the tongue.
Yeah.
This was a really cool ride where it had a launch in the middle. It went backwards at one point.
Yeah.
It was like a mixture between Everest and like, I want to say Hagrid's almost.
Right, because of the way that the track switches happen and stuff.
Yeah, but you don't drop.
It's also less intense too. It's right. It's close to Big Thunder in intensity. Right. It's
So
not super intense as a
I
family.
think it's a little more intense than that.
Well, it depends on what you qualify as intense. Like, I'm not a Big Thunder fan, so I just figured this was going to be like Big Thunder, and I was really not looking forward to it.
Okay.
And I loved it. I walked off thinking, wow, that was so much fun. Like, that's a really fun ride. Big Thunder is too shaky, and I know they just put a new track. We have to try it, but it makes me feel a little like dizzy sometimes.
Okay.
And this ride was very smooth, very thrilling, but easy to ride. It wasn't scary though. I do think like it's a fun ride for the whole family. Like everyone can enjoy it. And even the part where you go backwards, it's not like Everest at all, because I hate Everest. I absolutely hate Everest.
It's not as thrilling as Everest, but it's a really well executed ride.
Yeah. Because another thing is you're never really that far high. You're not really that high off the ground. Like similar to Big Thunder is like they build the mountain underneath you so that you never really get a sense of height.
Right. You think you're high, but you're really not. So it makes it more like accessible.
Yeah.
Right.
So the only I just thought of this right now is the Space Mountain. They really plussed up their Space Mountain, which I think would be cool for us.
They call it Hyperspace Mountain.
Yeah, Hyperspace Mountain, and there's a lot of screens against the outer wall, like or the walls of the building that you're in. So like the screen isn't really in front of you, but you see like battle scenes between the like ships in Star Wars happening.
Don't they do that in Disneyland too?
They do. Yeah.
Oh, they do?
Yeah.
Oh, so it's the same thing as Disneyland, probably.
It's Disneyland.
Am I
Disneyland.
right that Disneyland's Hyperspace Mountain is they turn it on and off? Like it's not always Star Wars themed?
Yeah. It's not always Star Wars.
Yeah.
They can turn it off. It's a limited overlay. I believe that the Hong Kong has some more, but it is very similar to the Disneyland Space Mountain.
Yeah.
Another takeaway that we noticed was the gift shops outside of the rides had a lot of like ride specific merch that we didn't find in other parts of the park, which was cool. And I thought the merch there was great. I wanted to buy everything. And I was like, oh, this is our first park. Like, Emily, stop yourself. Like, you can't buy everything. Like, this is.
But we should have.
Yeah, because it ended up, I think, really having some of the best merch that we saw.
Interesting.
So, yeah, I was surprised.
Well, I guess that makes sense because it is going to be in English, right? Like, there's a lot of English in Hong Kong as opposed to certainly Shanghai. I'm sure they didn't really have any merch that had English on it in Shanghai.
Right, right.
So they had this series of this Mickey here
with these like sunglasses,
and
that's awesome.
He's wearing a I Heart
Hong Kong
Disneyland shirt. It's awesome. I bought a shirt with him on it. It was really cool. That was a cool line that they had there.
They also had a shirt with, it was like a black shirt, white outline of Stitch, and he had his tongue sticking out, and it was just like a blue tongue, and then the back had like paw prints, and it didn't say any words, right? That's it.
Yeah.
Just the character.
A Stitch shirt.
Yeah. I'm like, this is really cool. Like, it was stuff like that, too, where it's not over-branded, it was just like simple, but cool, like characters in cool ways where it's like, interesting, different.
Yeah.
Nice.
Our hotel, we stayed at the Explorers Lodge, and this is based off of SEA, like the Society of Explorers and Adventurers. And so that's what they mean by explorers. It looks like Animal Kingdom a bit in the lobby, but the layout is actually Alani's layout, which is interesting. Because you face the bay there that Hong Kong is on. It's literally like the same structure as Alani, which is very interesting.
That is.
And then we also went to their Disneyland hotel. So each of these parks has a Disneyland hotel. And their Disneyland hotel, though, is almost a copy of Grand Floridian. So the lobby looks exactly like the Grand Floridian.
Wow. In pictures, right? It looks a lot like Grand Floridian, where you can see a picture and you go, oh, that's a Grand Floridian. And then you like look again and you're like, wait, I think the buildings, the exterior, the other buildings are different.
Yes, that's exactly what it is. And it's smaller. The lobby is smaller, but it's got the same elevator, where you can see through and everything like that. It looks very similar. And it kind of makes sense too, because when they're building this park, they have half the budget. When they have to make their flagship hotel for this park, the flagship hotel for the stateside Disney's was Grand Floridian. So instead of trying to come up with a new flagship hotel, just make the same one again.
Make everything but within the budget, and you don't have to redesign anything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. One nice thing was that Hong Kong did not really have a language barrier. So if you're unaware of that, Hong Kong used to be an English colony, and so English is a native language. Or I'm sorry, not native language. It's an official language of Hong Kong, and so most people could speak English as well.
And a lot of the rides had like both English and Cantonese like parts.
Wow.
We felt like we were understanding a lot of the story because it was still a big presence.
Yeah. That's great.
Well, that's progress for you.
Nighttime spectacular. So notice I didn't say fireworks. There was no fireworks in most of these parks. Nothing that explodes. There'll be like flare gun fireworks. You know what I mean?
What's interesting is that, we're talking about two parks that have, Chinese ties. Like Hong Kong, obviously, they're their own thing. They're not part of China per se, but culturally they are, right? Or historically, right? You go back 200 years, 300 years. I always associate China with fireworks because they teach that in schools.
If you watch one night of Happily Ever After, you will see more fireworks than every nighttime spectacular we saw combined.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure that if and it's so funny too, because like everyone that's around us is like, ooh, like they're like really enjoying it.
Yeah.
And like if any of you went and saw Happily Ever After, you would lose your minds.
Well, and I do, so.
Yes.
Cry every time.
Yeah, we're hooting and hollering over here.
I think overall, though, right? Hong Kong, it was small on the smaller side, but we really did enjoy it, and was easily able to do it in one day. Definitely a big perk of staying on property. Made transportation super easy.
Yeah.
Their transportation was like on fire. I mean, you only have three hotels and one park, so it's not like you need a huge fleet. But
there was a bus. We never waited longer than 10 minutes, 15 minutes for a bus back and forth. It was 5 minutes. And there was a train station right outside the park that took us to downtown Hong Kong. So it was very easy. We definitely recommend staying on property.
With a themed train car, too.
Yeah, the train car was themed, which was cute.
Yeah, before you guys leave Hong Kong, we stopped talking about it forever. So was the best ride Mystic Manor, or is it the Grizzly Gulch, River Run Gulch mine
Runaway
train
mine
extravaganza
Trains,
adventure? Or you got to add adventure. Yeah.
At the end,
Adventure Point. For me, I think Grizzly was better. I think we're going to have seen newer and better trackless ride systems later in our journey, and so Mystic Manor was a great ride. Liked it, right? And I think it's better than Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway.
Wow. Okay, but I feel like I have Minnie and Mickey's pretty high on my list of Disney.
Yeah, I think you would really like this.
It's one of my favorite rides, Mickey and Minnie's. So I'm more torn. Like, I think Grizzly Gulch Runaway was so much fun, and I was surprised by how much fun I had. And so immediately I was like, that was the best. And then now that I think about it more, I do think Mystic Manor might be what I would lean towards. Yeah.
Okay, interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we talked about new experiences, right? Was there anything of note that was like a duplicate ride, and how do they compare to their Disney World counterparts?
Yeah, so they do have a Small World, and it's Disneyland Small World. It has all the IP.
Oh, so it's much better.
Yeah,
much better.
It is much better. I do
Way
like
better.
that a lot. We've never been on the Disneyland Small World, but
It's so good.
this is it.
Yeah,
I was shocked when I got off. I was like, that was so cool. And Andrew's like, they have that in Disneyland.
Yeah.
I was like, what?
Yeah, and Disneyland Small World right now is playing the new third verse of Small World that the Sherman brothers wrote right before they died. They wrote a third verse for Small World. Yeah,
that is pretty cool.
They have a jungle cruise, similar to ours, right? Same concept, same name and everything. But it is a different track, and I definitely think it's better than the one we have at home. If you don't want spoilers, fast forward. But there's a part of the track that takes you to this area where you're approaching like a cavern, and then flames come out of the cavern, and it's like this big fire.
Wow.
And then the boat pauses, and then there's like a button that the captain presses, and water like extinguishes the flames, and it was pretty cool.
Yeah, it was a lot more interactive and a lot more... Or not interactive, but showy. It was a lot more showy than ours.
I mean, way different than ours. Ours doesn't have anything like that.
Yeah.
Well, were they telling jokes?
Yes, 100% telling jokes.
Okay.
And the same type of corny jokes.
Okay.
They also had two separate lines, an English-speaking line and a Cantonese-speaking line, depending on what kind of cruise you wanted to go on, which, we appreciated. And you got to understand, Hong Kong has both those as their, official languages, so they have both of them featured.
Do they have any of those classic, like, cardboard cutout dark rides at Hong Kong?
Like Peter Pan?
They had Winnie the Pooh. Oh,
and they had it like it was like our Winnie the Pooh?
Yep.
Yeah, it was almost identical. Same as ours.
Same. Sean would love it. That was part of our... I don't think they had Peter Pan. No Peter Pan.
Yeah.
No.
Well, I think there's only one thing that's in all of them, right? Isn't it just Dumbo that's in everywhere?
Darn, we missed that one.
Boys, watch your manners.
Yeah, if you can't say something nice.
Boys.
So to contrast our experience in Hong Kong Disneyland, where we talked about how it's a small park, no transitions really between the lands, just felt very, very small. Shanghai was the complete opposite. The Shanghai Disneyland Park is 3 times the size of Hong Kong Disneyland. And you really felt it, especially with those transitions between the lands as well. There were meandering pathways that transitioned you from one land to another, where eventually the theming would slowly creep in. And so you really felt like you were traveling a distance to get to this new place. Very different than our experience in Hong Kong.
Wow.
All the lands were pretty big themselves too. Like Tomorrowland was just this massive open area that was huge, and you could see across the whole land. The theming in general we thought was pretty well done. It was very well themed.
Yeah, I mean, like Adventureland was very well themed, right? But then like you had like Tomorrowland was just like big and chrome-like, you know, similar things like that. They spent a lot of time, I feel like, on the hub.
Yeah.
And the middle area.
It's massive. The area in front of the castle, if you call it a promenade or whatever you call it, there's so many different pathways that you can take with gardens and different features just in that giant area in front of the castle. It's massive.
Wow.
And the Adventureland, which is on the opposite side that it's normally on.
Instead of going to the left, it's on the right.
I don't like that.
That and the Pirates area was really cool.
And then of course Zootopia was also, that was like smaller. It was like very much felt like a city, like it was like crunched together, but it was so detailed in the theming.
Again, that's something that I've seen online, is some images of that, and it looks very impressive and immersive.
Yeah, definitely.
It is. I think a critique I would have of it is that there's nowhere for them to like expand. Like,
it's just a fixed, like, it's those couple little stores and the ride, and that's all they got room for because it's locked in.
Yeah, and like it felt to me smaller than like Toy Story Land.
It's small. It's like it's cramped. But I think that sort of part of like the city nature. It's like buildings on top of buildings. It's a street. It does feel kind of small.
Yeah, that's true.
And it was also packed with people, I think, because it's popular. It's a popular Instagram spot. So people are going, they're setting up, they're taking their pictures. Like everywhere you look, there's somebody doing something, interacting with a door or like some type of, set piece to take their picture.
The picture game was insane.
Huge.
Insane. Like when we first got in, I mean, like we went, the difference between Hong Kong and Shanghai, like we showed up a half hour before the start of Hong Kong, and
it was empty.
It was empty.
We were like, where are all the people? Are we in the wrong place?
We were almost like the first people in our corral, like to get in.
Yeah.
I think there was like one other group in front of us, and then we showed up a half hour before early entry for Shanghai. And it was a madhouse.
Packed.
It was packed.
Like the queues were just like, you can't even imagine it, filled with tons of people.
We couldn't see where they were checking tickets. It was so far ahead of us.
Wow.
And then when we got close, we saw that people were literally running,
sprinting. Get through the gates and just elbows back, running.
It was, yeah.
And, there are wackos that do that in Disney World.
Yeah,
there are.
And they get shamed for it.
Yeah.
They should, as they should.
Yeah. But this was like everybody. Every single person was running. It's to the point where like I started running. And then I was like, why am I running?
We did the same thing here where we had early entry and we had DPA. So we weren't like, we did that in all of our parks so that we didn't have to run and we didn't have to like worry about getting on the next ride, that we can kind of meander and we can enjoy the scenery and really take in the park. So that was a nice thing that we did. Like the first thing that we did when we got into every park was go for our castle picture, or in Tokyo Disney Sea, the volcano picture.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So we went actually to the castle picture here, and there was that group of 3 guys that brought a tripod, and they were taking pictures in all different combinations of one, like each of them, and then 2 of them in both 2s, and then 3 of them together, and then they went back and did other poses.
Yeah, at first we were waiting behind, thinking like, oh, once they're done, we'll hop in, we'll take our picture, we'll just wait here. Big mistake.
They were taking a photo shoot.
Wow. Did they have a costume change?
No costume change. No.
But pose changes.
But we did see them later on closer to the
Castle doing the same
doing
thing.
the same thing. So they had different views of the castle.
Would behavior like
Anyway.
that have flown in an American park?
No. I think you will get some dirty looks. Like people will be like, "What do you mean you're still taking photos? Like you
Right.
took the photo, move aside, let someone else."
But
That's
that's
why the
not gonna-
photo pass people exist. Is to
Yeah.
prevent that, because I would imagine
They move you along.
that as digital
Yeah.
cameras got popular, that people started doing things like that, and Disney had to respond by doing their photo pass system the way that they do it, where
And make money off of it.
well, yeah,
Oh,
they make
yeah.
money off of it, but it's also a crowd. It's a crowd management, a crowd flow, and even if you don't do photo pass, you can still hand them your iPhone, and they'll take a picture with the
Yeah.
iPhone, and then
Right.
they'll take the photo pass pictures.
Yeah. Well, here I don't think people like we're right now kind of like saying like, oh my God, that's nuts. What we experienced was that like people didn't really have qualms with like having other people in their photos or being in other people's photos. Like it just didn't seem like it was that big of a deal. Like we stood behind them like waiting, and then we saw people going up like next to them, and like we're like, oh, I guess it doesn't matter. You know what I mean? Like I think it's just it's a different mindset of like these photos, and maybe
Right.
that's why they were running there, because they knew that there was no way they were going to get a blank canvas behind them without running.
Oh.
I don't know.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, no.
It's probably a combination of it, right?
Yeah. So that was very interesting, and it kind of also leads to this is a big park with a lot of rides, and we plan to have 2 days there with early entry and DPA. What we found was that we probably could have done it in 1 day, as long as you don't mind missing the any character meet and greets and like not seeing every show, right?
And the walkthroughs too.
And the walkthroughs,
There was
yeah.
a ton of walkthroughs.
Tons of walkthroughs.
Which we really enjoyed. We like that kind of thing. And they had different themed walkthroughs depending on the land. Like there was a Pixar one in Tomorrowland. There was an Alice in Wonderland in Fantasyland. There was the pirate ship in Adventureland. And even the castle itself had a walkthrough in the castle. So we did a lot of that stuff. We did some of the shows as well. We didn't do any meet and greets. That's not really our thing, but it's huge over there.
Well, the meet and greet game was crazy as well. Like,
That was going to be my question. Like, what are the characters like over there?
it's
yeah.
all Duffy and Friends.
Well, no,
Oh,
I wouldn't
God.
say it's all. It's princesses too.
Princesses,
But
Lena Bell.
Lena Bell. I think I showed you guys the line for Lena Bell, which is a Duffy friend, was 6 hours long.
That's
6
insane.
hours.
So you did that. You did that twice one of those days, right? That's all you did.
And it's not a virtual queue. You have to wait there.
Wow.
While Mickey only had a 20-minute line.
Yes, Mickey had a 20-minute line, and Lena Bell had a 6-hour line. Like
Wow.
at first, like I remember reading the amount of minutes because it wasn't in hours; it was in minutes. I was like, "This is crazy. What is
You're
this
like, carry the 4.
like a 3 hour?" And Emily was like, "No, that's 6 hours." Oh man, that was nuts.
You're
That was
like,
I
it's
remember
a 400
when
minute
they-
wait, and you're like, how?
Well, I mean, when they first brought like Anna and Elsa to the Magic Kingdom, those lines for them were like 2 and 3 hours.
3 or 4, yeah.
Yeah, and even then, I was like, that is absolutely insane.
That's crazy. It's absolutely nuts. And the other princesses were a lot too. Like it was an hour wait for
I think it was Belle and Rapunzel together.
Belle and Rapunzel together. An hour wait for them.
Yeah.
Wow. So I guess, is that just part of the culture? Is that they just want pictures with characters? And like, are the only people going on the rides like tourists?
No. It was. I'm glad we had DPA here because all the lines were long. The lines were long.
Well,
Yeah.
it's such a big park. The capacity is huge. So
Right.
there's all these people on these lines, but the ride lines were also long.
Yeah.
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 Okay.
The DPA was helpful.
I'm watching. I just looked up because I want who's Lena Bell. I'm looking at a TikTok that guy made that he waited 5 hours in line to meet Lena Bell. It looks like Lena Bell's like a pop culture icon. It kind of seems like.
Yeah, she's actually pretty new. She's a 2021 creation. And,
okay.
She is Shanghai's Duffy. She is in the Duffy and Friends network.
Okay.
But she is the straw that stirs the drink for Shanghai. She was created for Shanghai. It launched in Shanghai Disneyland. It eventually had to move to Hong Kong and Disney Sea because she was so popular and so viral.
Huh.
So this is like, we're still kind of in the peak of Lena Bell popularity. And this is like Shanghai's, mascot in a lot of ways.
Wow.
Like how Duffy is Disney Sea.
I also get the feeling that like some of those people waiting online, it's not their first time doing it. They go back.
That feels worse.
Oh,
that
well.
feels worse.
That's way worse.
There were characters everywhere. Everywhere you turned, there was another meet and greet, and there's
another hour-long wait.
Phew, boy.
Okay, so Shanghai Disneyland has the largest castle in the world, Disney Castle. I don't know about any other castle.
Well, I mean, it's the only ones that matter, right?
Yeah,
Move over Buckingham Palace.
When we went to Osaka Castle, I was thinking to myself the whole time, like, who lives here? What princess lives here? Yeah, so the Shanghai Castle was amazing. It's so big. Like, I knew it was big, but I didn't know how big it was. In the bottom of the castle, there's a gift shop, there's a meet and greet area, there's a bippity boppity boutique. There's a big walkthrough throughout the castle. So you climb the castle, and there's like this nice grand stairwell. And then once you get up, it's the story of Snow White. So this is Snow White's castle. And they use like nice modern effects to tell the story of Snow White in scenes.
Cool.
It's pretty cool. And then when you get at the end of it, there's a big courtyard garden on top of the castle. And you can't see it from the front. It's like, it's in the back. You really can't see it from anywhere below at all. But like, there's this nice garden with a big fountain in there. Like, this is like a sizable building.
Interesting.
Yeah. The garden really got me.
Yeah, that's cool. I mean, their whole hub is really its own land, which is crazy.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like their hub has multiple rides. They still do they still do the boat?
Yes, probably the worst 20 minutes we spent all day.
It was just very hot.
It was so hot. It was just so hot. And like they were spraying water, but not at you. And it was just, I was like, please turn those hoses to us.
The hub did have a lot of interesting pathways like you're describing, though. There was one pathway that was completely covered with an archway of branches that had been like grown to create this complete arch over your heads. That was really interesting. And then there was another part that had the animals of the Chinese zodiac calendars in mosaics, but using Disney characters. So, for example, like Year of the Dragon, it was Mushu from Mulan.
Oh, yes, I've heard about this. That's
it was
so
very cool. And
That's
people
so cool.
go and take pictures with what their animal is, their year is, and it was a really cool added element.
Yeah,
nice.
That was very cool.
Did you take a picture with Mushu, Andrew?
I did. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
What are you, Emily?
Dragon.
What?
I'm the year of the goat, and so Disney, I guess, doesn't have any goats in its history, and the closest thing was the lambs.
I think the lambs from Toy Story.
No, it wasn't from Toy Story.
They didn't do Phil from. They didn't. just
that would have
Phil
been
from Hercules.
A great idea.
Yeah,
is he a full goat though?
No, he's half goat.
Half human.
Yeah. Half goat.
He's a satyr. He's half goat, half human.
Oh, that would have been cool, but I could see insulting.
Yeah, right. Well, let's put Greek mythology in here instead.
The Jolly Holiday Lambs. You can't see that. But yeah, I know. I never heard of them before.
Well, that would be from Mary Poppins.
Oh, sure. Yes,
Oh,
there you
okay,
go. That's a
okay.
connection.
Yes, yeah, of course. So one interesting thing is we think in Disney World that everything has to end in a gift shop. Every ride ends in a gift shop. In Shanghai,
Correct.
literally every single ride ends in a gift shop. Way more so than ours. But their gift shops are actually like themed specific to the ride, just like in Hong Kong. So when you get out of a gift shop in Frontierland or something like that, it's going to have Frontier themed merchandise. There was no real general stuff. We didn't find much general stuff throughout the park. You would find that
Interesting.
in the beginning of the park, outside in their like World of Disney store.
Yeah. They've got like a downtown Disney sort of space, right?
Yes, yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
And it has like the same way that our Disney Springs has like a does it have a Nike store? No, but like that kind of like you might have a Vera Bradley store or some type
Yeah,
of
yeah.
random.
Yeah.
It had a Major League Baseball store.
Yeah, like their downtown
that's
Disney
cool.
has these
That's
other
cool, yeah.
brands that have stores.
Yeah, yeah. That was that. I wish we went. We didn't go in there, but that would have been cool. Yankee hats everywhere.
Of course.
Yankee hats in China. Yankee hats everywhere. In Japan, LA Dodgers.
Yeah.
Well,
that makes sense.
That's the Shohei Ohtani effect.
Exactly. Oh, this is interesting. We tried to go see all the hotels and we were successful, but when we went to Disneyland Hotel and we tried to get onto the bus to go back to the park or to go to the Toy Story Hotel, which is like their value hotel, the people that we were asking, like, oh, where did we get the hotel? They're like, oh, yeah, you're staying here, right? You're like, no, like, you're not staying here? What are you doing here? and we're like, oh, we just came to see the hotel. And they're like, you came to view the hotel? Like it just was not. It was not a thing. We ended up getting to Toy Story Hotel, but it was awkward. It was like we had to explain that we just wanted to come and like view it,
Look at the lobby.
Like, look at the lobby, and then they were like, okay, that's fine. But then, like, I could tell, like, they're watching us a little bit. You know what I mean? Like, what are these people doing here? So,
and you weren't allowed to take transportation from the park to the hotels unless you're a hotel guest.
Okay.
We were allowed to take transportation from the hotel back to the park. So when we first went to the Disneyland Hotel, we tried to get on the boat. They were like, no, you're not a hotel guest. You can't get on. So we walked there. And then we wanted to get on the bus to the back. And they're like, well, you can get on the bus to go back to the park, but you won't be able to come back here on a bus. And we're like, okay, we understand.
right,
like,
we won't come back.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
Same thing with the Toy Story. We had to walk there. We couldn't take a bus there. I'm
Right.
like, are we allowed to go? They said, yeah, you can go, but you have to walk. We're like, okay.
And that was the security guard who said we can go. And then the next security guard from Toy Story Hotel, we had to explain to him too that we wanted to go there. We
were like, are you sure we're allowed to go in? Because I didn't want to do anything, I just wanted to make sure we were allowed. And they're like, yeah, you can, but we don't understand why.
Yeah. Another thing we noticed was that there are so many people working at specifically Shanghai Disneyland. Shanghai Disneyland had an incredible amount of people working there that like it seemed like not everyone had something to do. They're just there in case you need them. When you are at a restaurant or a quick service and you buy food and you're done with your tray and everything, you just leave it on the table and there's someone that comes in like 2 minutes less and just picks it up and throws it away. There's no trashes anywhere because all the trashes are like behind the scenes.
Interesting.
You literally just leave it on the table and they take it. But we found that was interesting. Just the amount of people they had working at this park was just incredible.
That's probably speaks to like efficiency and cleanliness is just such a huge importance to them that like they don't trust you, the guest, to throw your own garbage out in an efficient, clean way. They would rather just do it for you.
And they probably don't want guests to see the garbage cans that are
Yeah.
overfilling and,
Right.
you know, like,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
it's like unpleasant to do that. Why would, you know,
It's preserving the magic, right? That trash is taking care of for you.
yeah. How funny it would be if someone from like Shanghai was listening to this and they were like, that is not the case. You just left your trash on the table.
There were trash cans everywhere. We were following you because you guys were just stupid Americans.
So we didn't stay on property. We stayed off property. If you listen to part 1 of the series, you heard that we stayed at this place right across the street called Parkside Hotel. And we did have to walk out of Shanghai Disneyland, down a block, and then across the street. And there were a lot of peddlers there outside of the park on our route that were selling merchandise from the park. I'm not too sure how they got the merchandise, but they had keychains and they had
It's Chinese
plushes
knockoffs. It's like Canal
Oh.
Street.
I wouldn't make
I was
any
gonna say
assumptions.
that.
Yeah, but it's all made in China, so they're just taking it from it's just unauthorized copies that they buy for cheaper.
Oh, okay. I totally thought that they were real. But they must get enough business staying there. After a while, we saw the same people over and over again, so like they knew not to ask us.
Right.
Yeah, we thought that was very interesting.
Yeah, never seen anything like it before.
I
outside of
heard that
Disneyland.
is a very jarring experience. I've listened to someone talk about this before, and they said it was shocking.
I think if you've never experienced anything like that ever before, you know, like imagine walking into Yankee Stadium and there's somebody trying to sell you a water bottle and you know that you could take it inside, fresh water right here, bring the water bottle inside. Like anybody who's never experienced anything like that before, it feels aggressive. Somebody's,
Right.
you know, there in your space talking to you and you feel obligated to talk, you know, have a conversation back, whatever. But obviously we're from New York, so it wasn't that I was uncomfortable, but I was just surprised because in Disney, I've never experienced anything like that before.
Yeah.
Right.
I'd never seen anything like
Yeah.
that before.
And this is off property.
Yes.
is, yeah.
Right
Yeah, so
off property,
there's
like,
really-
the Disney security right here, and then
There's really
literally
nothing
right here is the
Disney
cafe.
can do about it. I mean, I'm sure they can do something about it, but they're not going to bother doing something about it.
I bet it's something that Disney wish didn't happen, but
Right.
it's also something that they feel like
They can't
you know,
control it.
You have
Yeah.
to pick your battles, and when you know Disney does not own the majority stake in Shanghai Disney, so you know they have to kind of pick their battles in that.
Yeah.
So now that we've covered pretty much most of our takeaways, I think it's important we get to the number one.
Drinking.
No.
Oh, well, that's one of our takeaways. That's like one of the next.
Oh,
I think drinking is like
Okay.
we talk about drinking a lot on this podcast, and we like to partake every once in a while responsibly. We were surprised to see that nobody there drank, which actually, when you think about it, that's a castle park. You know, you're not really drinking in Magic Kingdom either, so that kind of makes sense. But they did sell alcohol, and it was stupid cheap. It was like $3 for a beer. Which we had to like, of course, you know, we would partake every once in a while.
Every once in a while.
Yeah.
So this is where the red cup of shame was.
yes. Yeah, Shanghai was the red cup of shame. So when you got a beer, they would pour it into a red cup that said basically drink responsibly and you have to be sober in order to ride attractions.
Right.
Or you can't be sick or something like that.
Yeah,
Where
you had
was
to
it
be
that
like
said-
visible. You couldn't be visibly drunk to ride a ride or something. There was an interesting statement on there that was like, "Wow, they're really
Right.
serious about like moderation here."
Which good for them, you know.
Yeah, no,
because they're
it's-
allowing
it's smart.
drinking in it. Yeah, it's a castle park. You know, this isn't like Epcot, which is part of the culture there.
I guess they don't have much of an alcohol culture in.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't think
China.
it's much of the fact that it's a castle park, more that it's a culture thing over there.
like
Yeah.
we bought drinks. They were in our, red cups of shame, and we were walking down the park, just casually strolling. Nobody else had a drink. We wanted to get online for the pirate stunt show. And we thought in our heads, oh no, they're not going to let us into the line with these drinks, because our experiences in WW is they're always like, oh, you got to finish that. You can't bring that in. Like, because there's always rules around it. But there's rules around it because there has to be rules around it, because in the US, it's an issue.
Yeah.
There were no rules there because
no one would
nobody's
think to do
doing
it.
Right.
Right.
People don't do it, so they don't have to police it.
We could be the stupid Americans that are the reason why these rules exist.
Yep.
Calm down, Rover. I was only kidding.
Okay, so let's get to our probably the biggest thing we did in the Disney parks on this trip.
Number one takeaway.
Shanghai Pirates. This was amazing. We went on this 4 times.
Wow.
4 times.
4 times.
Wow.
And probably would have done it again.
Yeah.
If you didn't waste all that time trying to get to the Toy Story Hotel, you could have gotten on this a 5th time.
Exactly.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong on that.
Like the feeling of riding it the first time, just sitting there, like I felt like, I don't even know how to describe it. Like just such Disney magic, like being a kid in a candy store, looking around like, oh my gosh, look at that, look at that, look at that. Like couldn't believe my eyes. The whole experience was so cool. Immediately wanted to do it again.
Yeah, it is.
That's what Rise of the Resistance did for me. When I rode Rise for the first time, I was like, holy cow, that's another level of immersion and theme all within a ride. Because we'd seen Lands do it, right? And you kind of get a little bit of that with Flight of Passage, but not on the same level as... You still know that you're watching a screen when you're doing Flight of Passage. Yeah. They do a good job of kind of masking it a bit, but Rise of the Resistance, it really feels like you're there. Mm-hmm. So it's so cool to hear that there is another ride that does that just as good, if not... sounds like maybe even better if you went on it 4 times, because I think by the 4th time you go on Rise, it stops feeling as real once you've been on Rise like 5 or 6 times. It's still incredible, right? But it doesn't have that same magic.
Well, I feel like the only reason to go on Rise 4 times in a row is to try to get A mode. It's like you got B mode 3 times. I'm gonna go on it one more time to try to get that A mode. No, and you kind of stole it there, JJ, of like comparing it to Rise and putting you into like an environment, because this tech was amazing, right? But it's used in a lot of different rides, right? Like we had the same large screens that you get in Remy, but they're bigger and they fit the space more, and they fit what you're doing better, right? So at one point you're supposed to be like, you're on water. It's a water ride. Yeah,
you're on a boat. It's an actual boat. It's on a track, but you don't realize that because you just think you're in a free floating vessel that's a boat in the water.
Right, but you're on actually a track, and it's turning you to face like different show scenes, and it goes faster at different times,
and slower at different times,
intentionally. Yeah,
incredible.
But when the screen is showing that you're like underwater, when the ground meets the screen is also water, and it just works so much better. It actually really feels like you are where the screen is telling you. And like in Remy, I don't actually feel like I'm in a restaurant. Even though I'm underneath that like the table and everything like that. Like I know what I'm supposed to be looking at here, but it's such like a kind of a small screen and everything like that. This screen was like as big as the building. Like it was crazy.
Yeah.
And it felt so good. And the same thing about Rise of the Resistance. When you get into Rise and you see the AT-ATs, the AT-ATs, right? Like that's impressive. That's like it comes at you like just all of a sudden, right? But you're in a hangar. You're just in a big building.
No, you're in a Star Destroyer.
Right.
How dare you?
Yeah, but the Star Destroyer's hangar, right? And so...
Right, it's a building. Yeah,
In Pirates here, you see a life-size, or 2 life-size ships, right?
Literally. Like
from like the 1600s.
Massive.
And you are in water. These are in water. You feel like you're in the dead of night. It really feels so real. And they are on top of you. Like, they are so close to you. It was just, I think that this ride does all those little technology things from Remy, Mickey, and Minnie's Rise. It did it so much better and so much more realistic.
Wow, that is amazing. So they're integrating set pieces and screens all simultaneously.
Correct.
Yes,
Correct.
and doing it at like scale and depth. And I think that's like the key words there is like everything is big. It seems like nothing was really cut. Everything seems so realistic.
And also the movement throughout it, though, every moment is so intentional. We talked about how the boat is on a track, so it slows you down. And as it's slowing you down, the music is building. And then all of a sudden it turns you, and then it reveals something, and then it speeds you up, and it takes you here, and the music rises, and it's just so intertwined and emotional. Really feels like you're living in it.
That's so cool. Is this the ride you rode the most on the whole trip?
It is. Yeah. This is it. And like we didn't even really talk about Zootopia ride, right? Like Zootopia ride is a newer ride that's a trackless ride, uses screens and set pieces. But it pales in comparison to this ride, which was made 10 years ago. And
well, I think it's just about the scale, right? Like you're talking about an epic action movie that it puts you in the center of, as opposed to something that your brain knows isn't real, which is the world of Zootopia. Like, animals don't talk. Animals don't have a city called Zootopia. Like, it's harder for you to suspend your disbelief, right?
But Zootopia just seemed to me like it was almost the exact same thing as Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway. And I was not that impressed with it.
It was cute, but Pirates is like unbelievable. And there's a part of the ride where it takes you underwater, and you're not supposed to be underwater, right? I'm not supposed to believe I can be underwater, but you feel like you're underwater. And there's a part of the track where it double backs on the same show scene, but you see it from a different angle, and it's just so massive. I didn't realize it, I think maybe till the third time you were riding it, that it really was the same scene. Like
the same scene.
Yeah, from a different angle. And you can actually, if you look really hard, you can see the boat behind you, which like it sort of creates this element of like, wait, we really are down here. Like this is it was just, it's hard to put into words.
Yeah.
The scale of it is massive.
What is the IP that you want this ride to be in for Walt Disney World?
Well, I'm worried that this is 10 years old and they haven't been able to replicate the scale and depth of this ride. And like that's a takeaway of the entire trip for tomorrow. So like you can cut that as well, or cut this as well. But it seems like they peaked here.
Like you brought up Rise. Like Rise is also like astonishing.
It does all of these. It does everything, and I think it does it really well. I think you've just ridden it 10 times.
No, but listen to me. There's a change in the cadence when you get off that first part and you have to wait on a second line and you're taken out of the experience, right? You are immersed and then you pause and then you are immersed again. And so it's a different, like this is just.
Oh, when you're changing, right, when you're being held captive and you go off the first, okay.
This is just one seamless immersion throughout versus like that you are taken out of the dream for a minute and you're brought back into reality.
You're reminded that you're on a line a little bit that when you're in there. Yeah, okay.
I wonder if Rise is tried to do too much. And
I think Rise does Rise really well. Like I think it is a really great ride. It's a lot of fun. But JJ's original question was, what IP would we want to see at that scale?
Yeah.
Well, I also think one of the biggest reasons why Pirates was so successful is because it has to do with water and you're on a boat. So Way of Water would make so much sense here.
So so Avatar is the only IP that you could think of that would be,
I think so,
good enough
to
port this over.
Well, it has to be something that's a world that you can immerse yourself in, right? Like the way,
Right, and it has to have water, and it has to be thrilling enough.
Right.
You know what I would say would be a nice outlier, and just to throw a different wrench in here, the Percy Jackson could work.
Yeah.
100%.
Wow, that's a good one. Yeah.
But you could have some fantastical characters involved, like
The Odyssey could work.
Odyssey could work. Odyssey could work. But like, and it has to be realistic. Like you said, like you have to be able to suspend disbelief. So like
Right.
Nemo wouldn't make sense, you know.
Right, you just because Nemo is water, and even I feel like even Moana, which we've heard the rumor, maybe a Moana thing is happening. It's not real enough because it's a cartoon,
Right.
The Moana ride I want is the animated one.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
really want the live action Moana ride. Like,
right.
I want a Maui animatronic, not a Dwayne the Rock Johnson with a wig.
Yeah.
Animatronic.
Yeah.
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 All right. So there's one last thing that I wanted to say about Shanghai. And that was if you ever listen to Bob Iger talk about Shanghai Disney in any type of like environment where he's giving a speech, or, you know, when he first opens Shanghai Disneyland, he always has this saying that he says, authentically Disney and distinctly Chinese.
Right. Did you feel that?
I did feel that. To be honest,
Wow.
I didn't really quite understand what he was talking about beforehand. And then, like, as we were there, I remember turning to Emily and I was like, I totally get it now, especially coming off the heels of Hong Kong Disneyland. And for us coming off of Hong Kong Disneyland, but also for the Disney company back when Shanghai Disney was created, they're coming off the heels of Hong Kong Disneyland, which did not really, today it feels Disney, obviously, but I can see why people originally would have thought Hong Kong Disneyland felt like more of a regional park than a true Disney park. So this authentically feels like it has the quality and atmosphere of Disney, but it's you're in a different park than in America, right? It is distinctly Chinese, and I'm not going to stand here and say, or sit here and say that we understand Chinese culture and know, just because we were there for 3 days, we know Chinese culture. Like, we don't, but it's just, you can tell it is different, and it feels distinctly Chinese, as he said.
Wow. And then the same question that I asked before we wrap up your takeaways, and out of the duplicate rides, was there one that stood out? Like, was there a difference in any of the duplicate attractions, and were any of them better than what we have in Disney World?
Peter Pan is pretty similar. It's a duplicate of our Peter Pan, but it's definitely updated, right? Obviously, ours is much older. So theirs is very similar in the same theming and the same story, but on a grander scale and much, much newer, right? So definitely a more updated experience.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was the technology was so much better than what we have. Yeah.
Interesting.
It was like a nod to the quaint story that was told. I mean, our Peter Pan is from like what decade, right? Like
the 70s.
Oh yeah, it is 71, right? It opens in 71, and then but also it was basically just a carbon copy of the
World's
opening
Fair,
day, right? It's 1950s, right? It's a 1950s ride. In all honesty,
right? And it feels that way when you ride it in Walt Disney World, you know.
Right. Yeah. And how was the Pirates show? I've heard that is.
It was fun.
Excellent as well. That the Pirates area is the place to be.
Yes.
That the best ride and the best show.
Yep. The best theming
are in right next to each other.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It was the best theming too.
Yeah.
And the
best land.
Yeah. The best land for us. Like, we really enjoyed that land the most. The show was good. It had like one really cool effect of.
Don't spoil it for people.
Yeah.
Don't spoil it for JJ.
We won't spoil it for JJ, but it had one cool effect. It was pretty cool. I think that with the shows, there was other shows that we saw that we thought were very good too, but
this one was impressive.
It was impressive. Yeah, it was impressive.
No, because at first you're kind of like, what's going on? I'm not really sure. They're making jokes, and it's in a completely different language, right? So we're like, I don't understand.
Right.
And then you're kind of like,
it's in Mandarin.
It's still going on. We're not really sure. And then all of a sudden you're like, whoa, how do you do that? Oh my God. It's like, wow. So I think it had that wow effect for me, at least. So it was definitely worth doing. Enjoyed it.
So, I would also say that like Shanghai, I think I would go back, especially if they made a second park, which is like kind of rumored out there. But Hong Kong Disneyland, I'm not sure if I ever need to go back unless they have like some type of major expansion or I just happen to be in Hong Kong.
Right. For all of your teachings. That's very interesting to know that Shanghai you would go back to, but not Hong Kong. And going into this, I kind of felt like, well, maybe Hong Kong would be, because of the English, the language barrier, that you might be more looking to go back to Hong Kong because it's a little easier to navigate and figure out.
Definitely easier to navigate, right? Definitely easier, like you're describing with the language barrier. But I guess just the parks themselves. Hong Kong was so small.
It's just so
right.
It's just so far behind what Shanghai is.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, everyone we met in Shanghai was amazing. They were great. We never felt unwelcomed. We never felt unwanted. And we never felt like because we didn't speak Mandarin, we were causing a problem or like
the translator
causing
app
them
wasn't a burden.
Yeah. They were ready with their translator app right when they saw us. They knew when I'm approaching them, they're like, no, this guy does not know Mandarin. Let me get that app out.
You were not able to learn Mandarin over the course of one flight, one Trans-Pacific flight?
We learned a few words, but we still weren't quite sure on the pronunciation of thank you. By the end of our time, we were still not sure.
Yeah.
Are we saying this right? Nobody seems to respond to what we're saying. But anyway.
That's funny.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to apologize for our slight technical difficulties.
So you guys want to hear about Tokyo Disneyland right now?
Yeah, let's just make this a 6-hour episode.
All right. We'll talk about that next time. We'll talk about Tokyo Disney Resort, both Tokyo Disneyland and Tokyo Disney Sea, in the next episode. Our third iteration of Andrew and Emily Go to Asia.
What a snappy name.
That's better than Grizzly Point America Gulcher.
Runaway mine cars.
Runaway mine
Railway.
Point Adventure.
For the Cure.
Sean, want to take us out?
Thanks for listening to another episode of the Reedy Geeks podcast. Like, rate, and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Any questions, comments, concerns, future titles, or topic ideas, email us at reedygeeks@gmail.com and check us out on all our socials at ReedyGeeks. We'll see you next time.
So, yeah, we could keep it in the episode. I'm not going to keep it in the episode, but we could. This week's Honest Send-Off comes courtesy of the Geeks. If you have an honest send-off that you want played at the end of one of our episodes, please submit an audio clip to us via our email address, reedygeeks@gmail.com. Reedy Geeks, a Walt Disney World podcast, is hosted and executive produced by Andrew Shopee, Sean Murphy, and JJ Hefner. Music and audio engineering by JJ Hefner.
Bon voyage.